Hey there guys, and welcome back to Tech Easily. So in today's video, I will be teaching you guys how to create tables in HTML. And we basically use tables to display any sort of information in a website. Now this is my fourth video in HTML, so if you guys want to catch up on any of my other videos in HTML, I'll leave a link to them in the description box down below. But for now, if you're interested in seeing how to create tables in HTML, then please keep on watching. Okay, so basically our aim behind making a table is to be able to store information in rows and columns. So like always, I'm going to be using Notepad again and the same file structure as I did in all my previous videos. But before we get into the code, I'm going to walk you through some basics of tables, go through each of the elements that are inside, and then we'll start to code. And also, I have one example prepared from before just to show you guys what we're working towards in this video. This is something that we're going to end up with at the end. So just so we have a goal in our minds that this is what we want, and let's get started. Okay, so tables in HTML. Tables are defined by the table tag, which is pretty straightforward and it's easy for us to remember. A table header is defined by the TH tag. And one thing to keep in mind, guys, is that this table header tag or TH tag is always bold by default, and it's always going to be centered as well by default. Okay, and then a table row is defined by the TR tag, and this is always going to be going sidewards. And then the last one, a table data or TD, is the data for our table. So now that we have the basics out of the way, let's go into coding this. So I'm going to go back into my notepad. I'm going to change the title for today's video, put in table, and inside the body is where my table is actually going to go. So like I told you guys, to define a table in HTML, we use a table tag. So I'm going to open and close this tag, always remembering to close all my tags as soon as I open them. And inside is where my rows, my columns, and also my headers are going to go into. Okay guys, so first of all, we actually need to get the table row into place before we go in and fill in the columns. So I've just opened my TR table row, and I'm just going to close that as well. And inside of this is where I'm going to be putting in my table header or the columns. So I'm just going to move these across just so you guys can see it a lot better. And I'm going to close this tag off, and this is my first column or my first heading that will appear in my web page. So like I used in my example I showed you guys, I'm just going to use name, copy that, or Control C or right click, copy, and paste, Control V, name, country, and my third heading is going to be age. Okay, so before I move on to filling the information for all of these headings, I'm actually just going to show you guys what it looks like now. I think it's best to show you each step, makes you think of what part you're actually on. I'm going to name this tables. I just went into file, save as, and then I just saved it as tables.html. And I'm just going to run this in my browser. And as you guys can see, it has appeared. So the table, I'm going to put this side by side. The table row, so this is our row. The first table header is, or the first heading is name in the first column. The second one is country in the second column, and the third one is age in the third column. So this is what it looks like so far. Let's go into actually filling out information that will be put inside of these headers. Okay, so filling out the information. Again, I'm going to need a table row to fill in this information. I'm going to open this. I'm going to close this up. Now this time, guys, instead of putting in TH for the table headers, I'm actually putting in data for those table headers. So I'm going to be using TD instead of TH. Now this is a mistake that I've seen people make as well. Please remember to use TD instead of TH because this is the data that's going inside our table headers. Okay, so the first piece of data that I'm going to be storing here is going to be in correspondence to the first table header I have here. So since this one is name, I'm going to be putting in name into my first data cell. So I'm just going to say Jane. Okay, so the next table header that I had was country. So the next piece of data I have will be in correspondence to that. So I'm just going to put in England. And then the third table header I had was age. So the third piece of data that I have that's going to correspond to that is going to be the age of this person. So I'm just going to make that up and be like, so now for the fun part, you guys, we're going to save this. You can Control+S or click on File Save and then double click. As you can see, the data has appeared, and this is, I'll put the side to side. This is actually in correspondence or in the relative position of its table header. So the first table header name is in correspondence to the first table data cell, which is Jane, and then so on and so forth with country and age as well. So now if you guys want to have more rows, so you have more people you want to add to this table, you have 100 million rows. I'll show you guys how to do that, and it's pretty simple and straightforward as well. Okay, so you probably guessed what to do, so I'm just going to copy this table row with all the table data inside, not touching the table headers, just leaving that one alone, and I'm just going to paste it all in. And basically you can change this to whatever you want. Okay, so I'm just going to put in James. I'm going to say Spain for the country, James for the name, Spain for the country, and then 30 for the age or 20 for the age. And again, if you want to add more information, you will just keep on copying and pasting the table rows with the table data and continue for as many rows as you want for whatever information. So Sarah for the name, Mexico for the country, and then just change that to 40. Again, Control+S, or just go into File and Save, and we run this program. Okay, so now this is what we end up with, and this is something that I showed you in the beginning of this video that we'll be working towards, and as you can see, we have achieved that at the end. It's actually pretty simple and straightforward. Once you get your head around the tables and the table rows and the headers and the data that goes inside, it's actually pretty easy to do. And this here looks pretty plain and simple. Like I said in my last videos, I will be updating all of these. I will be making them pretty with CSS. Basically, you can make fancy menus out of this and a lot more you can do with it. So just stay tuned for those videos, because CSS can really transform the look of such a basic table, and you'll be surprised actually to see what it comes out as. But for now, this is how you make tables in HTML. Okay, so that's it for today's video, you guys. I hope you learned something about tables in HTML in general, or how to put a table into a HTML web page. Until we code again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave any comments, recommendations, or suggestions that you guys may have in the comments down below, and I will get to them as quick as I can. And until I see you in my next video. Bye.